I'm Rob Port from SayAnythingBlog.com. I have with me Judy Estenson. Judy announced a campaign for Ag Commissioner last week. She is going to be challenging for the Republican nomination or endorsement. Current Ag Commissioner Doug Goring. Judy, first of all, thanks for your time. And tell us why you're running for Ag Commissioner.
You know, I was sitting and I was trying to put that in just a few words, Rob. And I think the thought that came back to me this morning is that last fall when I was at the legislature and testifying on the animal protection bill, the words came to me that this is the land of the free and the home of the brave. And we need to be real brave if we want to remain free. And I think that that's what it's really all about. It's about everybody playing their part in the future of this great state and our country. And I just started feeling more and more that it's easy to talk about what you think is wrong with things. It's a lot more difficult for you to actually get up and get involved and do something about it.
So what specifically, because obviously you're challenging an incumbent Ag Commissioner, what specifically about Mr. Goring's job performance do you think is not, in part with what you just said, with everybody playing their part in this great state? You know, what specifically is it about Mr. Goring that leads you to challenge him?
Well, there are a few. It's primarily policy issues is where he's taken a stand on that particular issue with the Humane Society. My stance was extremely different than his was. All of us who own animals, and you know that I am a farmer and a rancher as well as a nurse and a mother and all those other hats. And so that was an extremely important issue to us. So I believe that all of us who own animals have an obligation to care for our animals in a good and proper manner. I think we do that well. And you know, the agenda of HSUS is to eliminate animal agriculture altogether in this great state. That is their agenda. And I would have expected for our current commissioner to have known that. And he actually took the opposite side of my position. And as a result, we now have a felony charge tied to animal cruelty in our state. And I think that was a major victory for HSUS. I think that, you know, on a personal level, I felt like when we start to make things more criminal against animals than we do people, that we have taken the wrong stance. Causes more regulation, causes more government, interference in our private life.
What do you think Commissioner Goring could have done better in response to that specific issue? If you had been commissioner, what would you have done?
Well, I certainly wouldn't have gone along with most of what they asked for. Probably none of it. In fact, from what I understand, when the Nebraska governor had HSUS knocking on his door, he basically told them he wasn't interested in their agenda at all. You know, we had just passed something in the previous election that addressed protection of animals in North Dakota, and I think it was sufficient. I'm not sure why we even visited with HSUS about this once again.
When obviously HSUS had a ballot measure on the ballot, it failed, and then the legislature took the issue up. What I have heard from supporters of Mr. Goring, although not Mr. Goring himself, is that Mr. Goring didn't oppose the ballot measure, didn't say, was perhaps silent is the right word maybe to describe it, on the ballot measure because of state law, which prevents officials from using state resources to oppose or support a ballot measure. What do you say to people who say that's why Mr. Goring may have been quieter than people like yourself would have liked?
Rob, I'm not exactly sure how to answer that question. I just think that, you know, I'm new to the political realm. I'm for the first time in my life trying to carefully give my opinion in a more concise manner, because, you know, when you're not in the political arena, you can have all the opinions you want, and then all of a sudden you have to really hone that skill as to how to address that. And, you know, I don't want to just, I guess I really don't want to talk a ton about what he's done wrong more than as much as I want to talk about what I think I could do right.
Okay. Well, let me just ask you one other question then. Obviously, one of the issues that the Farm Bureau, which made an announcement, I guess, in conjunction with your announcement for Ag Commissioner, one of the issues they brought up was Mr. Goring's handling of his staff. I have done an extensive amount of research into this, where we found an issue where a female employee had filed a complaint over some comments he had made, also inviting a female employee to his hotel room to crack his back. Do you feel like these issues are something that inspired your campaign to run, and perhaps a reason why Mr. Goring shouldn't be Ag Commissioner?
I think that it's just really important to have good relationships within your office. I mean, this is a highly respected political office. You're elected to it, and you really are held to a higher standard. And, I don't want to spend a lot of time. I think there's been some suggestion that I personally have attacked his character. I have not read his file, Rob, nor do I want to. And I really want to make this about just bringing integrity and honesty into the office, and that there would be good relationships. And I think I have a leadership style that could really do that. So I'm going to talk about what I think I could do more so than what he's done in the past. But, obviously there's a lot of conversation about that, and I'm going to try to stay clear. Just say that I think I could do better.
One last question on that. Do you think it's something Commissioner Goring should resign over?
Commissioner Goring has to make that decision himself, what's best for the party and what's best for him.
Tell me more about what you could do in terms of, or what you would do if elected to the Ag Commissioner office, what you would do in contrast to perhaps how Mr. Goring has done the office, to be a more effective Ag Commissioner for the state of North Dakota.
That's a big question.
Well, that's why I asked it.
Probably a lot of parts as well. I have three really big concerns about what we can do to make a difference in that office. And, I actually was encouraged and approached about running for other offices. And though this is a very big office, I made the determination that it is where I could probably make the biggest difference as well. And it all goes back to my initial statement when I announced, and it is the way I really strongly feel. And it's that through my life experiences, I have been a keen observer of how public policy and the political process affects our families and our lives. And I've seen it in my medical profession, and I've seen it in our agriculture business. And it's rarely positive when government grows in size and regulation. So, that would be one of my very number one goals in the office, which is just actually be a guardianship of the family and the business and the agriculture in North Dakota, to just hold more regulations at bay, and just be absolutely certain that those regulations would be beneficial to the state and the people of North Dakota before I would allow them to go forth. I think that's probably number one.
Last question. Whoever gets elected to Ag Commissioner in 2014 is going to be Ag Commissioner until 2018. During that 4-year window, what do you think the biggest challenge to North Dakota agriculture will be?
I think that, there's a lot of things. When you ask me about the biggest, I'm a little overwhelmed here. I've had to really be a student of all these positions in a very short amount of time. So I don't know that I know what the biggest one is. Obviously, one of the big concerns is, again, where government plays a part in agriculture. And on the recent farm bill, I was very concerned because I heard a lot of farmers stating that they were very concerned about the coupling of crop insurance and conservation compliance, and how that can do some harm to the federal crop insurance situation. So there are so many concerns. The Industrial Commission is another part of this, and what's going on in the western part of the state, and how do we do that well so that people in the western part of the state have their property rights protected, as well as the industry of oil and gas. It's a huge job, It's going to require a lot of studying. I think I'm a good student, and I can learn the issues, and I think I'm very, very committed to doing the right thing for all the people of North Dakota.
Judy, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Rob.